MOISES CAICEDO has officially agreed personal terms with the club Arsenal. And we are here to bring to you the latest about MOISES CAICEDO's Arsenal transfer and everything that is going on in the Arsenal camp, as long as it is transfer related. Right about now, we're here to talk about everything that's going on in the transfers, but mainly we are going to be focusing on MOISES CAICEDO, as we've got great news coming in about MOISES CAICEDO and him joining the club Arsenal. Hello everyone, and thank you for being part of the Arsenal chapter, and make up and subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you do not miss it on whatever we've definitely got to bring to you, as long as it is sports and as long as it is Arsenal related. Right about here at the Arsenal chapter. It's a little bit of a sunny day. I've tried to get somewhere that's not too sunny along the shed, but of course some sun coming in. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. Which parts of the world are you watching from? Just wherever you're watching from, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of this podcast. And as always, I'm very grateful to all my subscribers, all of you who take time and watch your channel. Definitely am so grateful. So we are definitely talking about MOISES CAICEDO. We'll remember that MOISES CAICEDO is a defensive midfielder who plays for Brighton and Hove, and also he plays for the Ecuadorian national team, and he's been on form for quite a long period of time. And in the January transfer window, for some reason we were like, oh, MOISES CAICEDO is definitely going to be moving. We thought MOISES CAICEDO, it's a must for him to move because he's currently on form. Yeah.
Yes, bro.
Yes, but yeah, so what exactly happened? What happened was, we thought it was definitely going to be an easy run for MOISES CAICEDO, because Brighton and Hove, looking at Brighton and Hove, is definitely a club that sells football players. If you're interested in a football player, Brighton and Hove has got no problem whatsoever to give you that football player. So for some reason we were like, oh, it's definitely going to happen. It's just going to be like that. And it happens, it comes, we get to understand, we get to know that things are just not like that. They are not the way we expected them to be. As we thought Arsenal is going to have MOISES CAICEDO very soon. Look at football players like Marco Cucurella. It was quite easy for Chelsea to take Marco Cucurella, and even Lisandro Trossard. Arsenal found it quite easy for Trossard to have there was no disturbances at all, and all these are football players from Brighton and Hove, and we definitely think that things are going to even get much better with time, because when you look at how they've been selling their players, it should be there must have been something big for them not to offer MOISES CAICEDO to the club. But as I researched, I definitely came to conclusions and got an answer to it. The reason as to why MOISES CAICEDO could not join Arsenal in the general transfer window is because, first of all, they had lost a manager. Their manager, the former manager, was Graham Potter, and he went to Chelsea. And when he went to Chelsea, also a few football players left the club. They sold Trossard, they sold Cucurella, and very many more football players were definitely sold. And it came to conclusion that Brighton and Hove was at a point where selling another football player was going to be a big problem. And also the manager didn't see it as a great thing to sell MOISES CAICEDO, because he's one of the best that was definitely there. Their defensive midfield would definitely be shaky. I mean, Brighton have finished in the 60th position, haven't they? They've had a great season. They've had a very wonderful season, even when they have sold very good football players. And the other thing I was talking about last time, I was definitely saying, look at Brighton and Hove. he thinks he can't. It's very hard for it to be in top four. They've got good football. They've got good football players, but they know they can't get in top four. And Roberto De Zerbi just comes out and says, "You know what? We're not a top club. We're not a top club." Because when they asked him about Moises Caicedo leaving the club and also McAllister leaving the club, it's quite open. McAllister is definitely leaving Brighton and Hove, and Moises Caicedo is on a very big percentage of leaving Brighton and Hove. So he comes out and is like, "Oh, you know what? We're not that big. We're not that big football club. These football players definitely need to get to better football clubs." It's like, oh, if that is what it is, then I think the club should definitely take advantage of that, if that is what they call themselves. But look at the talent that has brought the talent that Brighton and Hove has brought to the Premier League. I mean, the Premier League is now dominated by Brighton and Hove talent. When you talk about top class, when you talk about top football players in the Premier League, then Brighton and Hove definitely has somewhere it lies in there. So it was a little bit tricky, and I was like, oh, this is a bit. So they saw that selling Moises Caicedo was going to be tricky for them. They definitely saw, and when they looked at things and how they were going at that moment in time, and the fact that them as a football club, they were not interested. I think they could have been very fine, very okay. They would have been excited if they got Champions League football, but they didn't get Champions League football. They ended up getting European football, and that was definitely very good. That was brilliant for them, and they were happy with it. They jubilated as if they had won the Premier League. Come on, Brighton. Come on, Brighton. Anyway, that was a little bit funny, but again, at the same time, I think Brighton could have done better. And now looking at Moises Caicedo, now the fact that in the general transfer window, him as a football player, despite the fact that Brighton and Hove did not want to sell him, it was a no-touch. Very many football clubs put in their bids for Moises Caicedo, but it happened that he was not for sale. He had not for sale on him. It was written in capital letters, not for sale. And that is what the Brighton and Hove football player was on. The actual Brighton was not selling him whatsoever, though he was on the market, but deep inside, from inside sources, he was not for sale. But him as a football player, he definitely wanted to move, because he wants. It's not about a club. It's not about remaining in a club where they look at being number 6 in the league being a very good thing. He just wants to be number 1. And if you want to be number 1, then go to a football club that has that mentality that says we're going to win it. Not a football club that is saying number 6 is a very big thing for us. So I definitely think that things are going to go on quite well. I think things are going to go on quite well this time round, because now they have already come out and said he's available. Any club that wants him can definitely have him, as long as the price is okay. And I think the price shouldn't be a problem for Arsenal since they need him. I mean, it's not. I don't think they're going to come up with a figure like 150 million pound. That's definitely out. He was around 70 million pound maximum, I must say, but he's been rated at 50. Some sources rating him at 41, but it should be manageable for the club Arsenal, and I think it's going to be very good. However, the good news that we've definitely got that is coming in is that when we look at Moises Caicedo and him being part of this transfer himself, going to his agent going to the Arsenal management, and Arsenal management having a talk with him, saying definitely we need you right here, and we're going to offer this and this to you. Are you gonna accept? Personal terms were definitely agreed, and that was one big step ahead, because since personal terms were agreed, you can definitely tell that things are going to be much better. Once personal terms are agreed, then the chance of a football player signing into a club, chances are extremely very high, and that's what we could be seeing. That's what we definitely are going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing we're going to be seeing Moises Caicedo. Most likely, he's going to move. He's going to move because he wants the move, and he's very much into this move. He himself, he wants the move so bad. However, we shouldn't be. Arsenal shouldn't be so. Arsenal shouldn't be so happy about it because last general transfer window, we thought it's definitely done. We thought it was a deal that's done, dusted, but it was in every source, and also not only was it in different sources, Moises Caicedo went on his socials, went on his Instagram and said goodbye to Brighton and Hove. And that was a big signal. That was a very big signal. And we thought things are going to go on quite well for the club Arsenal because they want to improve their defensive midfield. And the fact that he himself went and said goodbye, said, Brighton and Hove, you've made me a better football player than when I came here. But everything has a beginning and an ending. I'm saying goodbye to you, but so we started seeing where is his next stop. When we were looking for his next stop, then he comes up and himself on his socials starts liking Arsenal posts and stuff, and then we're like, he's definitely going to Arsenal, and he posts something about Arsenal, and we're like, oh, like he must be going to the club Arsenal. And different sources, TalkSport talked about it, BBC talked about it a lot, BBC Sport talked about it, Sky Sports talked about it, and quite a lot that definitely was talked about by different sources. And we definitely thought, it's going to be like that, it's definitely going to happen like that, but things didn't go on the way they did. So there is no reason as to why there should be a lot of jubilating. Do not jubilate just as yet. Give it a little bit of time before you can jubilate. Though I have to let you know what is definitely going on. I have to tell you the fact that personal terms have been agreed, and since the personal terms have been agreed, maybe we could be seeing something fishy coming in. So let's hope, since the personal terms have been agreed, everything else is going to come in quite well, and we will see him signing for the club. The fact that also Arsenal ended up in the second position, that wasn't the worst of positions, that was a very good position for the club Arsenal, I must say. It was a very good position, but Arsenal had a chance to win the Premier League title the last season. It had a very big chance of winning the Premier League title, and they lost out on a few games, and these games were not, if Arsenal loses to Manchester City, it could be understandable. If Arsenal loses to if Arsenal loses to Liverpool, we could say it's been a big game, Manchester United could say, oh, there's been quite a big competition in there, Chelsea. But losing to Southampton, that was definitely uncalled for. That was not the best of things. I think there was a big problem in there that definitely needed to be sorted. But I think now things are being sorted, and the fact that Granit Xhaka is also leaving. Granit Xhaka, who's been a very good defensive midfielder for Arsenal for a very big period of time, it's time for him to say goodbye, as Mikel Arteta is more than happy to let him go. He's saying he can find more midfielders than, actually not even more, better midfielders than Granit Xhaka. So let's wait and see. Granit Xhaka already has been linked to a number of clubs, and he's going to be making his move. He's definitely going to be making the move to another club, and it's in this summer transfer. And do not expect Granit Xhaka to leave and there is no replacement. Definitely, that's why the likes of Declan Rice have been linked to the club Arsenal, and also now having Moises Caicedo also being linked to the club Arsenal. That is quite great. Anyway, let us know again what you think about Moises Caicedo and him joining the club Arsenal, and whether you think he is the best man for the job, whether you think he's gonna perform quite well under the management of Mikel Arteta. But you can see Trossard Trossard has definitely done well. Trossard has played very well, and there's nothing that is going to stop MOISES CAICEDO from excelling. We do not expect a lot from him because we've already seen what he can do. We just want him. We think that he's going to go to Arsenal and do what he's been doing. That is it, because he's been an excellent football player. I mean, we don't expect him to play better than he already is playing, but there is a chance that he could. But he's been class this season, definitely class. That's why he's linked to all sorts of clubs. Otherwise, thank you for being part of the Arsenal chapter, and make your point, subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you do not miss out on whatever I've definitely got to bring, as long as it is sports and as long as it is Arsenal related, right over here at the Arsenal chapter with me, your host Abu Kaz. Thank you and goodbye for now.